By the time I got here I was pretty hot and sweaty and just ready to stop. 50 miles, so a good day's riding actually, so I'm pretty sure I'll sleep well. I'll see you in the morning. It's now about 6:30 a.m. on Monday, day 4, and I slept on and off during the night. It was so warm. I slept completely naked in my sleeping bag, had the outer door down but didn't even have the inner door down. That's how warm it was, all the vents open. And I did have to get up for Call of Nature at 3 a.m. in the morning, and that big white, what I think is the big social tent for the cricket ground, that was all lit up with floodlights, but luckily all this band where I'm camping was dark in shade, so it wasn't lighting up the tent. But even that time in the morning the sky really wasn't that dark. And then about 4 a.m, I think it's even 4 and about 3:45, the dawn chorus started, and that kind of woke me up. I just checked my phone to see what time it was, and that was really loud. Like I said, just before 4 o'clock that was. I'm going to have a coffee now, and I'm aiming to pack up and probably be on the road by 8 a.m. And also last night, it was the first of this camping trip where there weren't kites flying, circling around overhead, but what there was lots of planes coming in and out as well. And when I looked at my phone to get an idea of my bearings, I could realise they must be coming in and out of Luton Airport, so hence the aeroplanes. First of the thankful villages today will be Toft. If you notice on the map I often use, there's 54 thankful villages listed on there. I'm assuming at the time that's how many were known. I believe it now to be 57. I've added Toft on there because it wasn't on that map. I've put it on and arrowed it as 55. And I understand when the bikers did their tour in 2013 to present these centenary plaques for the following summer at all the villages, I believe they did 53. So my logic is, at the time they believed there were 53 thankful villages, and then there were known to be 54 as on that diagram, and I now believe it to be 57 because I cross-referenced different sources. So my feeling is that if when they went they left 53 plaques, possibly Toft being number 54 was not known at the time, but I could have that completely wrong because different maps number them differently. You see where I'm coming from? So I'm thinking possibly Toft would not have a slate plaque, but it may do, I don't know. It's all part of the puzzle, isn't it? I think the best reference source for information on the thankful villages is the Hellfire website. It lists all the villages, and it also gives you the county, lots of cross-references. It also gives claims where other people have said they think there may be a thankful village, but research hasn't yet proved that to be the case. In fact, there's one in Suffolk. I did think about going up there, because on Wikipedia, in one entry it says it's a thankful village, and in another entry it says it's not believed to be a thankful village. I think what the claim was nobody died in the First World War from that village, and then the counterclaim is yes, but nobody went because it's not really a village, it was a set of communities around a country house. So that's a possible for future years. Who knows, it may end up becoming certified as one, it may not. But that's just one example of how good the Hellfire website is. But there's no diagram on there with the locations. I have to cross-reference their information with several maps I've got. The one I often use, where I put the blue rectangular box around. There's another one, I got it from an article online actually on the Daily Telegraph of all places. But there's other ones as well, so I have to cross-reference each of these maps. There's another source I use called Darren Haymans' Thankful Villages project. He's an artist or a musician who went round to lots of thankful villages and made pieces of music there, just made it up when he was there, tried to make short little video clips of how he felt when he got to each village. You go to the bottom of that page, there's an interactive Google map, and it's got all the locations. That's what I often refer to, because you can embed it on your Google Maps. So if I go to Google Maps, there's all these red dots everywhere and some orange ones, and I think the red dots are the ones he's been to and made music, and the orange ones he hasn't. But anyway, that's an example that I use quite often. It's just gone 8 AM, so I'm leaving the campsite, which is behind the Cross Keys at Pollux Hill, literally just down the right through there. I came in this way, carrying on that way, turning left, and as you can see, it looks like it's going to be another really nice day. I'm keen to get going, and I'm definitely keen to get back on course. I can follow the Garmin track then. Okay, I've just come through a place called Strethall, or Strethall, and I was following what I think's my route, and I came down to that estate and I saw this gravel track up here, and I thought, oh no, because otherwise I've got a very busy road over there. It's either the A5 or the A6. It's like a motorway in all but name. I just said to this lady, can I get to Shefford through here, because that's my next point I'm heading for. She said, yeah, just see that track, follow it. I just sort of said, well, I thought that was the way, but I just wanted to make sure it wasn't private property. She said, no, cars are not allowed along there, but bikes, walkers, runners are. Just past the runner as well. So you can see it just goes along here. And then she said, it'll be straightforward when you get to the end of the track. There's a T-junction, it'll be signposted. So it feels kind of stressful to be off course, but I'm not actually adding mileage on. I'm not adding distance on. I'm just running parallel to what I should have been doing. But it's always a peace of mind when you start homing in on the track and just getting back on the GPS route, because at the moment I'm just having to check my phone every time I'm a little bit unsure. Okay, it's coming up to 10:30 now, making good progress. See that sign there where it says town centre right, Gammingley, B1040? That's where I intersect my route. If I can get it up there. There we are. I'm going to come up and intersect it there. So this Garmin, the 200, which is why I like navigating off it, as soon as you go off course you get that black bar at the bottom, and the arrows, can you see it's dancing all over the place because I'm touching it. But all morning it's been saying off to the left, because it tries to point you back onto your route. But I don't want to get straight on it, I want to actually cut that corner off. And all morning it's been pointing off to left, and it's gradually started coming around to 45 degrees, and now it's started to point forward. As I approach the route from the south, the little homing circle will start forming on that 200. I'll show you. And then as you get closer and closer, it expands, it expands, it expands. And then when you join it, it pings. You'll get a notification on course, and the black bar at the bottom will disappear. That's why the Garmin Edge 200 is so good for navigation. And lo and behold, just coming up to 21 miles, can you see we're about to join our course there. So turn right here. I'm just gonna, so where that blue car is going, down there, we're back on our course. Oh, and the other thing, just before we climbed up into the village, there was the boundary sign there. So we've just left Bedfordshire, and we're now in Cambridgeshire. So now I'm back on the course, going that way, the way that blue car's just come from. I can get the ride with GPS app up, and I can see I'm on 152 miles. It's around about the halfway point of the whole trip actually. And I've just had a look. Toft, the thankful village this morning, is at 162, so what's that? That's 10 miles to go. So be there for lunchtime, won't we? It's 10 to 12 and we're just coming into the village of Toft. This is the first of today's 2 thankful villages. So first up, I'm going to go into the village, look for a village green, any war memorial, anything like that, and then head for the church. That's the 2 most obvious places the plaque will be, if there is one here. As I said earlier this morning, I don't know if there will be one here. I never know, to be honest. I got off the main road and went down this really sleepy lane which goes down and does kind of a U-bend. and it's brought me in St Andrew's Church. It says open, so hopefully I'll be able to charge some devices here, get some shade. There's a seat outside in the shade, get my bike out there, sun as well, charge some devices if it's open, and hopefully there may be some kind of reference in here, possibly even a plaque. Oh, nice and cool in here. This is almost everything I wanted. There's a toilet through there, so I've had a good wash, tap so I can drink plenty of water and top up before I leave. I've got my phone and my 10,000 milliamp power pack charging over there. I'm doing fine for time, so I can spend about an hour here. And I've just bought a seat outside. I'm going to sit in the porch. It's just too hot to sit outside. It really is a baker. So far I haven't found a plaque, but I was kind of suspecting there wouldn't be one here. I don't want to make a false assumption, but I was doing a little bit of kind of reasoning, thinking there may not be one here. But it'd be awful if I walked by it and didn't spot it, which has almost happened on a couple of occasions. Anything like that I see? No, that's just a piece of metal on the wall. I will do a quick Google search once I get my phone topped up and just type in Toft, Thankful Village slate plaque. Sometimes that'll reveal something. Oh, meantime, I'm just gonna take my shoes and socks off, just sit in the shade, have my lunch, and have a welcome lunch actually. Chicken salad with mayonnaise on malted bread. Got a craving for salad actually. Yesterday it was a craving for fruit. I was eating fruit all day. Today it's salad. I always go with my cravings. I think it's your brain or your body telling you in coordination what you really need. I can drink as much water as I want and not worry about running out. I can top it up before I leave. Just taking your shoes off on a day like this is just so nice, especially when you put them on a tiled floor like this. Anyway, it's lunchtime. Well, that was fantastic. Really nice friendly gentleman walked across, said hello when he came back. Stopped and had a chat with him, just thought I ought to explain what I'm doing. I think he guessed really, I was out in the sun. And I just said to him, could I pick your brains about, is there any recognition and memorial? And he sort of said, yeah, I think there's one up at the Methodist Church. So I thought, I was going to go back to the post office and ask them. So it just shows, doesn't it, my reasoning, thinking there may not be one here. There is apparently. And then he said, let me just go and ask my mum, find out. And she's just come over and she sort of said, oh yeah, I remember all the bikers come in and they presented the plaques, and some of them have been back since. That's really nice. So I need to go back out, turn towards the shop, and the Methodist Church is very close by. And she was saying it's closing at the end of this year because all the helpers are in their 70s and they've only got a congregation of 6, and you can sort of see the demographics are working against it. But that's where the slate plaque is, at the Methodist Church. But she said they're partnered with this church, so one Sunday they have a service there, next Sunday they come here. So that's really, really helpful. Thank you very much, you two. So nice as well. Apologies if it's a bit dark, but I don't want to put the lighting on. It's just too nice and cool in here without it. But I'll just having a look round now, have had my lunch. Become fascinated with the organ builders after that one I saw that was made by an organ builder in Bath. I did a little bit of research actually. I'll maybe make a video about that sometime. So whenever I see organs, I kind of want to know who built them and where they came from. But also here there's a plaque. It says, this organ was restored in 1966 by the generosity of Margaret A. King, Gavin McFarlane Grieve and other donors, to honour the fallen and all who served from this parish in the Great Wars, 1914 to 18 and 1939 to 45. And there's a tapestry, St Andrew's Parish Church, 1217 to 1994, St Andrew's Parish Church and Toft Methodist Church, as the lady and her really nice son were telling me. Oh, and there's also a water tap down by the gate. There you are, the usual signs, watering cans. So I was coming in for the village that way, and I just followed my nose down there and came round here, which is a lovely way to get to this church, St Andrew's Toft. So I need to head to the Methodist church, which this is actually twinned with. Beautiful. And there's a little map, look. So I came down School Lane, came along here at Church Road. So I need to go back to the T-junction. That would be my route out of the village, I think. Go left and then Toft. Methodist church is along there. Had a lovely hour's lunch break at that church in the shade. You can probably tell it's very, very hot. Here we are at Methodist School, 1940. Methodist Chapel, 1862. And it says, in memory of those who died in the war of 1939 to 45. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people. But in the First World War, a thankful village, 1914 to 1918, they all returned. I've never seen a plaque like that before. That's really impressive. Marble, I think. I thought it was stone at first. It looks like marble. That's really, really nice. I'm going to leave my poppy in one of those. But right next to it, there's a plaque and a board. It says Toft, a thankful village. Virtually every community in the UK suffered losses in the Great War, and their war memorials remain a focus of remembrance every November. However, there are a very small number of settlements across the UK where all those who left to serve king and country were able to return safely. These villages are known as thankful villages, a term coined in the 1930s by the writer Arthur May. Toft is one of only 54 confirmed thankful villages in England and Wales, and is the only recognised thankful village in the whole of Cambridgeshire. I currently make it 57. At the time of the Great War, Toft was a typical Cambridgeshire village where agriculture was still the main source of employment, and so most of those from Toft who went to war had been working on the land. There's some pictures of them. Gosh, when you see photographs it really brings it home. These are people's sons, brothers, uncles, fathers. And there's some of the names there. I'm going to take a picture of this and I'll put it up on the screen now. I've tied my knitted poppy on one of the flower holders there. There's one either side. I've just done a bow. As I always say, I don't want to be seen to be littering. If people really don't want it there, they can remove it there. That's just my mark of respect and remembrance. Toft, a thankful village, 1914 to 1918. They all returned. I will just read one of these out, these stories. Arthur Sparks, born in Toft in 1897. By 1911 he was a farm labourer living at 12 High Street. He served in the Hampshire Regiment from 1915 as a timber carter and was awarded the British War and Victory Medals. In later life he was a postman. So I'm round the back of the chapel, getting some much needed respite from the sun. So I've just checked the route. Toft is at 162 miles into the ride, and the next one, Strethall, is at 178. So what's that? That's 16 miles. That kind of do me for the day, really. I'll be looking for somewhere to camp round about that. So gonna head back out that way into the baking afternoon sun. But it's 20 to 4 now on a baking hot afternoon in Cambridgeshire. This is the kind of terrain, so the sun's just reflecting off this. It's been a very hot afternoon. Mostly been flat, and I kind of stacked the odds in my favour coming west to east, you know, with the prevailing winds. There was a slight hill back there. Normally it wouldn't make any difference, but today because I'm a bit hot and tired. It just almost finished me off actually. I just saw the first sign for Strethall back there actually, so I know I'm homing in on it, and I'm on 48 miles and I calculated it'd be around about 48, 49, something like that. So I'll be quite glad to get there. I just hope there's a shop or a tap where I can really plunge a load of water down actually, because I've got a quarter in each bottle, but I've kind of been rationing it a bit because I haven't seen anything for miles. It really feels like being in the middle of nowhere. So I talked to you about a mile over there, came down to a crossroads, and my main route goes up that way, but Strethall's down here, so it's a dog leg. But my Garmin is pointing me along there for the dog leg, but can you see it says Strethall Church up there, and that's just the obvious place to go first. I'll go up there, come back, then I'll have a look in the village as well. I can see the start of some houses there, so I guess I'm quite close. I just really do need to find a tap, fill up with some water, have a really long drink. Well, this is a very remote church. I passed one house on the way up, and then the road just turns into a gravel track at this farm. I'm hoping there'll be a water tap in there, and that must be the farmhouse over there. And guess what? It's got a north porch, which is going to be nice and shaded. I see there's a south porch as well. Let's go and have a look at the north porch. Got glass in. I don't know if the plaque will be here, or even if there is one here, but I was not going to ride past that sign saying the church. Oh look, Thankful Villages, boundary 500. Well, the north porch is locked. The 80. Just trying to see if I can see the slate plaque in there. Cannot see it through reflection. Nope. Right, let's try the south porch. Oh, this shade is so welcome. That was quite a slog this afternoon. Enjoyed it. Oh, water, but it probably means there's no running water here. Oh, I thought there was a south porch. No, it's a transept. Oh, maybe not then. So the church is locked. What a shame. I could have... Do you know, this is so remote. I wouldn't have minded actually bivvying in the porch up here tonight. I'm going to have to go to that farm and see if they've got a tap. Right down the bottom of the churchyard, there's these wooden gates that just lead down to a footpath and onto a track by the look of it. I just wonder where that would have gone to originally. You know, people coming up here on a Sunday to church, seeing that wonderful view, set up on the hillside. And this is what you'd have seen as you approached. Lovely stone, wood, slated and glass porch. Classic bell tower, nave, chancel, door for the clergy. I'd have loved to have bivvied in there tonight. There was a tap round the farm. I tried to find somebody to just ask permission, but it sounds like they're all out. So whether this church is still used or not, I don't know. I'd imagine the village has migrated over that way a bit more. Why on earth would the church have been so far up the village? That was a bit of a grind up that road actually. As I said, all it does is leads to a farm. That clearly would have been the main entrance. Had a good look round to see if there's any sign of the slate plaque. I'm so pleased to have seen that. Thankful Villages, boundary 500. If you've been following my Thankful Villages tours over the years, you may remember last year I just dropped off the Pennines down this steep drop, and I was heading over to Westmoreland, and I stopped at this Thankful Village. In fact, it's a doubly Thankful Village. I camped there as well that night in a caravan park. But I was just out of the village, sat at this church. I'd just been in, found the plaque, taking my photographs, just chilling out outside. And this motorbike rode along, looked over, turned round, come back, parked up, And he came up and said, I know this might sound a silly question, are you the guy that leaves poppies at Thankful Villages? And I said, yeah. And he sort of said, oh, you're quite well known amongst us actually, you're a bit of a talking point. And I said, really? And he sort of said, yeah, there's a group of the motorcyclists that travel around, and he was telling me the person who coordinates a lot of the rides, and he's the expert really in the research. He's got a website called Boundary 500. So John, who the motorcyclist was, he contacted me afterwards actually on Facebook, and I've chatted to him a couple of times actually online, and he told me about his Boundary 500 website. In fact, I contacted him recently to ask him about something to do with Thankful Villages, and he said, not sure, I'll get back to you on that. And he asked the guy who runs that, and he got back to me the same day actually. Thanks very much, John, if you're watching this. He just kind of put me straight. So although the Thankful Villages plaque is not here, I suspect if there is one, it's going to be down in the village. But having seen that, I'm going to leave one of my spare poppies. That's what I bought them for. I wasn't sure where I'd leave them, but I just thought, bring some, you may want them. So I think I'm just going to loop it round the handle there, round the ring of the door. Again, bow tie it, and if anybody wants to remove it, see, it'll come off easily. So the Thankful Villages Boundary 500, lovely logo, isn't it? And my knitted poppy here at this wonderful remote church. Okay, I'm going to ride back down this no-through road to that junction, turn right, go into the village, turn around and come back and rejoin the route. But probably when I get to the village, I'll just go onto the camping app and see if there's anything close by. Well, it's 20 to 5, I'm in the village. In fact, I'm just about to leave it. I cannot find any slate plaque here, so I'm quite glad I left the poppy up on the church. Nobody around to ask actually. I've Google mapped in to see if there's anything obvious, and there's just like a notice board along there, nothing there. So possibly that's why the Boundary 500 sign was up there. I just don't know. I've just opened up the camping app. I just tap to find my location, authorise it, and it just gives you a circle with all the campsites within 5, 10 or 15 miles. You can choose which you want, and there's one 5.7 miles away. So that's where I'm heading back. Basically, I'm just going to, again, a bit like yesterday, I'm going to deviate from my route. Doesn't really matter now because the next Thankful Villages are not until the other side of Ipswich. So it's not as though I've definitely got to get back on route tomorrow. I can kind of play it by ear really. So that's the way I came in from the church. I should actually be going back that way to join my route, but I'm overriding it. I've been along the end of the village, nothing there. This would have been the obvious place, post box where notice board is. So I've just left my poppy under there. Haven't even seen a boundary sign for the village actually. I saw a sign pointed towards it from a few miles away. There may be one on the way out, I don't know. Anyway, that's where I'm leaving my poppy. So no Thankful Village memorial plaque here, not to the best of my knowledge, but they've got 2 of my poppies and 1 of the Boundary 500 stickers. Anyway, 5.7 miles to a campsite. I'm currently on 50.46, say 50.5. Did I say 5.7 miles ago? Say 6. So it's going to make about 57. By the time I faff around it, it'll probably be 58 or 59. Anyway, campsite that way, 5.7 miles. So it's about 5:30 and I've just arrived at my campsite. It's called Home Farm Fishery. So let me just tell you what happened. I deviated off my route to cut a corner off, and then I actually rejoined my track, and I thought great, but don't get complacent because I still need to find this campsite. I got to this T-junction on a really busy B road. The Google Maps was suggesting left and almost immediate right, and after about half a mile I thought something's not right here, and this chap stopped. He's coming out of his house and he said, Little Warden's back this way. I said, I've just come that way, I was trying to get across, and he sort of said, there is a road but it's private, it probably, your best bet is to go all the way back into Saffron Warden. So I had to do two sides of a triangle, hit that at rush hour, and there's a lot of people taking this rat run, the road I wanted. Then it's about 2 miles out north of Saffron Walden, and then just as I came in, there was this track going up, and it's one of those gravel tracks which just says private road if you carry on, and round to the right was just like a farmyard. And luckily this really nice guy came out in a van. He sort of said, campsite? Don't know about a campsite. And I said, it's Home Park Fisheries. He said, oh yeah, carry on round here. You'll come out by the pub and then take this Pets Lane, it's called. And I sort of said, oh, should I have stayed on the road? And he said, no, you did need to come up here. I just don't know if dates. It's been a long day. So it's gone 7 p.m. now. This is the site. It's actually quite busy, isn't it, for Monday night? It's a big fishing lake down behind there. The tap is right by the gate as you come in. And the guys from Essex, they sort of showed me around really. They sort of said somebody will wander around later and find me in the morning. If not, I'll go and find them. And then you go down towards the fishing lake and there's a wooden hut. There's toilets in there. I was expecting them to be a bit grotty, and they're really, really nice. Toilet brush in like ceramic swan, air fresheners, soaps, towels, you name it. And it's just really, really well looked after. So I had a strip wash in there. I made sure I left it immaculate. I've washed some clothes. I said I'm going to have a treat tonight. Well, it's a treat for me. I saw El Paso refried beans. When I cycled across America, especially in the West, there's very little you could get in the way of food. You just rode until you turned off and camped 100 yards from the desert. So I always carried a couple of those tins, and I got a real taste for them. And when I came back from the States, I'd acquired a taste for them just because I ate them so much. I just put some pasta in because I think I'm going to need some carbs with it as well. But refried beans underneath the flight path of Luton Airport again by the look of it. Lovely evening. It's nice and cool now. So I've got the sun setting behind me, which is good. I've got the shade of a tree, something to lean my bike up and lock it against. And in the morning, hopefully it'll be rising there and I can start warming up and getting the tent dry and clothes dry. I had my tea, which was absolutely lovely, really, really full up. I got some biscuits to munch, but I don't think I'll need those. I washed it all up, so I'm quite tired. I think I won't be that long before I go to bed. So just doing a little bit of revision. There's my Thankful Village out in the middle of nowhere to the left of the M11. And then I tried to get across, that's where that B road suggested I could get across, but I had to go down into Saffron Walden, and that's actually part of my route. So tomorrow I've just got a detour backtrack down to Saffron Walden, and then I'm en route then. If I then go to the overview of the route, you can see I've circled it around Cambridge. That's it there. That little dog leg there, that was Strethall, that was the Thankful Village. And then I'm up there at Little Walden. And so I thought, well, tomorrow I might pop in there, pick up some supplies, might even see if I can get a bacon sandwich if there's a Greggs or something like that. And then just press on. I thought, well, probably about 40 miles to do tomorrow. If I add on 40 miles, I would actually be on the outskirts of Ipswich, and that's where the last two Thankful Villages are. There's one just outside Ipswich, about there, and then there's, you can see that one up there, that little spur going off. And then I'm just going to head into the coast, Southwold. I stopped there briefly a few years ago and I've really wanted to go back and explore. So I might just chill out in Saffron Walden tomorrow, see if I can find a bakery and get some bacon roll or something like that, and not try and do too much tomorrow, otherwise I'm going to just be finishing sort of towards the end of the week, and I've got until, well, a week today I'll get the train back. So yeah, progress is actually quite good. And this is a real gem. The farmer just drove down from there, came and saw me. I sort of said, how much? And he sort of said, tenner. I sort of said, oh, you sure? But yeah, tenner for this. And that washroom down there, absolutely spotless, immaculate. He just sort of wanted to know about my trip, and then sort of said, do you know the washroom where the tap is? And I said, yeah. I sort of said, oh, it's fantastic, really spotless. He said, oh, that's good to hear. He seemed really proud when I sort of said it was actually spotless there. I sort of said, I've made sure I've left it spotless. And he even sort of said, was there plenty of loo roll? Enough? And I said, yeah, fine. There was soap, there was, just everything down there. So this was a real find. I may have got here absolutely shot and exhausted, but I'm so glad I made it here. This is so much nicer than last night. And it's about 8:20 now. Just hear all the bird song. There's loads of ducks walking across around the campsite earlier on. When I first got here, I must have looked quite a state, all sweaty and smelling of suntan oil. There's a couple of guys rolling those big wheel plastic water containers down, and they were going for the tap. And I had a bit of a chat with them. They're from Essex. He asked me what I was doing. I sort of said cycling from Bath to Great Yarmouth, and he sort of said, oh, I was brought up and raised in Great Yarmouth. Haven't been back since, but he comes from Great Yarmouth. And then I sort of said, where are you from? He sort of said, oh, not far, only Essex. And I sort of said, is this Essex? And he sort of said, it is just, it's about as far north in Essex. Very soon you're out of the county. And I sort of said, well, funny enough, because I ride on country lanes a lot and farm tracks, you don't even see the town boundaries sometimes, let alone the county boundaries. I saw two today. I came into Cambridgeshire from Bedfordshire. On day one, I crossed from Wiltshire, I guess it'd be, into Oxfordshire at Coal Hill. I know that's there because I ride that road a lot on Audaxes. But I haven't seen any for Buckinghamshire or what other counties I've been through. So I know I left Bedfordshire, came into Cambridgeshire, and apparently I'm in Essex. They're definitely on the flight path into Luton. They've been going over every 5 or 6 minutes ever since I've been here, actually. I'm so tired, I can't stop yawning. It's 9:30, I'm just going to have to hit the hay. I went for a really nice walk around the lake, actually. This really is a nice sight, actually. Just getting everything ready for the night. Going to pull the outer door down. Last night I slept with no clothes on whatsoever, all the vents open, had the inner door open, and I even opened the other inner door on the other side. So it's a side entrance tent. You get the one entrance this side, one entrance that side. So both the fly sheets were down, but both the inner doors were open. Sleeping in there naked, and I still wasn't cold. I really wasn't. So I think I'll be doing the same again tonight. I don't know if I mentioned the farmer came down, really nice guy, told me it's going to be even hotter tomorrow. It's getting up to 30 something apparently, so phew, we'll see. Anyway, I'll say good night. See you on day 5.